BBS. BBS. Blackberg Sugar, Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. Television! Fred Sanford of the Fistic Arts. When all is said and done, there's nothing left to say or do.
REED-BBS. BBS. Joshua versus Ngannou. Knockout chaos. The biggest fight, arguably, of the calendar year, featuring a man with 3 losses versus an 0-1 motherfucker in boxing, that is. Instead of undefeated, Ngannou is just defeated, I guess. But such is the case, as former unified heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua, 27-3, 24 KOs. He throws hands, or some would even say or suggest hand grenades, with former UFC heavyweight champion of the world, the aforementioned 0-1, the defeated Francis Ngannou. Perhaps the hardest puncher in the history of combative sports, with an MMA, a mixed martial arts record of 17 wins, 3 losses, 12 KOs, and 3 submissions. They'll be fighting Friday. I repeat, they'll be fighting Friday, March the 8th, as DAZN presents Knockout Chaos from the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Now, Joshua, with the quicker than you can say Fury versus Ngannou, which Joshua labeled a gimmick fight, he is now calling his bout with Ngannou the biggest challenge of his life. And that's not exactly hyperbole either, considering all that's riding on this from the boxing, mainly the boxing, but the boxing and MMA sides of the combative sports fence. A couple interesting boxing-related quotes here. And I quote, "Joshua, do what you're supposed to do. Show these MMA guys how we do it." That was from Tim Bradley. You got Amir Khan telling Joshua to restore boxing's reputation against Ngannou. And that's a heavy-ass cross to bear, man. That's a lot of pressure. He's carrying the fate of his own sport, it seems, Joshua is, in this fight. And the entire combative sports world will be watching collectively. On another boxing note, Ricky Hatton, there's only one Ricky Hatton. He thinks Joshua will have enough firepower to shine against Ngannou. But at the same time, he says there's every chance that he could knock Anthony Joshua out. Robert Garcia, who for about 5 minutes, he trained Joshua. He said, "I think Joshua will knock Ngannou out." Speaking of trainers, Joshua, he's now with Ben Davidson, the Chris Jericho doppelganger. Ben Davidson with his Chris Jericho looking ass. Just when Derek James seemed to be slowly piecing Joshua back together again, like all the King's horses and all the King's men putting Humpty back together again, then AJ links up with Davidson. And slowly but surely, it started around the time of the Hellenius fight. Hellenius was a last-minute replacement for Dillian White. And Joshua, he's been a little edgier, a little less friendly, I like to say it, than in previous days. Like, you remember, prior to the first fight with Ruiz, this motherfucker allowed Ruiz to hold his belts and pose with him and shit. It was just a weird look. Joshua, and then he subsequently lost that fight, of course, the first fight. It's been a little edgier lately. It began with Hellenius and then against Otto Wallin, who was very confident coming into that fight. Joshua seemed a bit agitated. Davidson is channeling a more combative sports. I keep overusing the word combative, but that's exactly how Joshua is. He's starting to fight less and less like the man afraid to get hit, which he had morphed into after the debacle against bad build Andy Ruiz. But But even with that, Joshua's working the body more than ever. He'll never be mistaken for Mike McCallum or anything, or Joe Frazier for that matter. But he's throwing like the left stabs to the body, and he's throwing straight right hands to the body also. That's how he opened up Hellenius. Hit him to the body with the right hand, and then brought the right hand up top, knocked Hellenius smooth out. But yeah, this promotion, man, Knockout Chaos. They had the face-off show. Francis, he has an uncanny ability to... He's so very calm and so very deliberate in the way that he speaks of opportunity. And AJ, he has the opportunity to fight AJ, and he thinks he can knock out AJ. Francis, yeah, he, like I've said in the past, he can call your mom a bitch, a hoe, and say he wants to slap the shit out of your daughter. But the way he would say that would be like the sweetest, most poetic sounding shit, nicest sounding shit you ever heard. But yeah, the face-off, neither man said anything extravagant. Neither man got disrespectful with the other. There's been the countdown show that DAZN is pushing, and the trailer. Good God, the Knockout Chaos trailer. The Saudis done it again for the Day of Reckoning. They had a zombie theme for Fury and Usyk. They got a Wild West gunslinger theme, and now for Joshua Ngannou, they got the video game Street Fighter themed. It's Fury. It's Joshua and Ngannou in like a city, some metropolitan area, and they about to throw hands and shit with the Street Fighter graphics and everything. It's dope. And once again, them Saudi pockets is deep. The depths the Saudis will reach for, it's unparalleled in terms of promoting a fight, in terms of making fights, important fights, the likes of which boxing has never seen. And I'll do a deep dive on His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh and the way he's flipping boxing on its head. He's renovating our sport like a home improvement project or some shit. And I'm here for all of it. I'll also do a deeper dive on the Joshua Ngannou matchup itself, who I see winning, why, etc. But what I will say now is it's scheduled for 10 rounds. Joshua Ngannou will not go the 10-round distance. It's not going half the distance. Hell, it probably won't even last a third of that 10-round distance. Somebody's getting knocked the fuck out here. So you better go on and bring Chris Tucker dressed up as Smokey, have him sitting ringside, because we may need him standing over the loser saying, you just got knocked the fuck out. That's how this one's going to end. REED-BBS. Blackbird Sugar, Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. Television, Fred Sanford of the Fistic Arts. When all is said and done, there's nothing left to say or do.